Is instant runoff voting a fair vote? Let's take an in-depth look. In this election, 49 voters ranked Chris as their first choice, Betty as their second, and George their third. 26 voters had George first, Chris second, and Betty third, while 25 voters had Betty first, George second, and Chris third. With instant runoff voting, the candidate with the lowest support, here in third place, gets eliminated, so the people that voted for Betty, their votes get counted again, and they voted for George. George now has 51 votes, and George is the winner. But is that really fair? Is George truly the consensus candidate? George won because Betty's supporters get a second vote. Why doesn't Chris's voters get a second choice? If instant runoff voting was truly designed to get us a consensus candidate, you would think the winner would be the candidate that had the most support from the most people. If Chris's voters had a second choice, they would have voted for Betty, and she would now have 74 votes. And if George's voters would have had a second choice, they would have voted for Chris, and he would now have 75 votes. Either of these two examples creates more voters supporting the winner than if only Betty's second choice votes are counted. Why are we giving the bonus votes to the people that voted for Betty? Why does her third place finish make it so that people that voted for her get 2 votes? Why don't the people that voted for Chris or George get 2 votes? George truly is the least acceptable of the 3 candidates, yet because he is the second choice of Betty's supporters, he wins. Is this a fair way to do an election? Should only the voters who vote for the least popular candidate get a second vote? If everyone had a second vote, Chris would have the most votes. We aren't building a consensus with instant runoff voting or finding the most acceptable candidate. We are only awarding bonus votes to the people who vote for the bottom candidate. Instant runoff voting does not treat all votes fairly because it isn't designed to. Instant runoff voting gives some votes more weight than others. Instant runoff voting does not provide a consensus candidate. Is this a fair way to have an election?